Hey, what's up, y'all? My name is Millennial Smark, and I'm back at it again with another video. So, I'm pretty sure you guys seen the AEW numbers, but that's not what I want to talk about, okay? That's boring. We've been down this road before, okay? Until they hit around 400,000, I don't feel the need to want to talk about the ratings anymore or the viewership number because they already hit their plateau in regards to where or how far they're going to go up, okay? They're going to be stuck for a while around the 600,000 range until they eventually go specifically into the 500,000 range, and then they're going to go into their new territory, their new territory into the 400,000 range, and the 300,000 range, and the 200,000, then the 100,000. Then next thing you know, they're going to be competing with me in regards to my reviews versus their actual shows. Never mind fucking Jim Cornette's, right? Let's not talk about that. I kind of touched on this last night, but I want to go a little bit further. I want to go a little bit deeper into this whole little spiel I've been going on for a minute, talking about AEW superstars, former WWE superstars who are now AEW superstars who are doing absolutely nothing for the company. Now, as you guys know, I am not necessarily a big fan of today's generation of professional wrestlers, right? For one, they focus on one criteria way too much, that being the in-ring wrestling aspect, and if they try to go out of their reach a little bit, they take influences from pop culture, typically from today's pop culture, where for the most part everybody doesn't really engage with because it's so artificial and so corporate. You heard the rants about this plenty of times before, but what I don't understand is the constant using of these wrestlers who obviously need a backing from a bigger talent agency like WWE, for example, in order to put them in the reach of the modern consumer base, being the professional wrestling fan, right? Casual, however you like to refer to them. And them thinking that once they break out of that barrier, they break out of that so-called echo chamber, if you will, and they go to a different echo chamber, they think because what they did in this regard right here was very popular, at least for that fan base, that they could take that same value within them, regardless of the name, and that they can take that and go to a different company. It's not to say that that's a wrong idea. It's not to say that what they're thinking mentality-wise doesn't make sense. I mean, most people will probably think the same thing, right? You were a manager at, say, a McDonald's, and then you go to a Burger King. You're going to be a manager over there. It's going to be a different regime, different culture, different structure. But for the most part, what the job entails for you to do, it's going to essentially be the exact same thing, right? I get the prospect. I get the mentality. The only thing is these guys suck, and they've always sucked for the most part. And they needed WWE in order to hide most of their weaknesses that they themselves feel that they're very talented and good at, and then they come to a different company and then they expose themselves by constantly trying. It's almost like they're fucking practicing on television. Am I right? I can't be the only one who sees that, right? It seems like they're almost always practicing on television with the way they talk and their discourse and whatever. Let's take Jon Moxley for an example, right? Now, most of these people I already talked about in the Downfall series, but we're going to talk about their actual attributes in itself. Jon Moxley, he's a guy that one may say on face value wise, right? He has all the tools, right? He can wrestle when he wants to, right? Has a cool factor about him, right? You know, has a certain swag, as the kids say nowadays, like 15 years ago. Like he has a certain direction about him that you may think to yourself is going to be something worth trying to cultivate in order to, you know, I don't know, draw some people to want to watch him, right? Jon Moxley's biggest problem is that he tries way too hard to be deep, right? He's way too artistic. He has that Bray Wyatt syndrome about him, right? Way too artistic for his own good. He thinks that he's so fucking deep. But the problem is you're so deep that, homie, you still got to get out, right? You still got to climb out of whatever you're deep into. And he starts to go on these ramblings sometimes, right? You know, he starts to cut these promos and You think he's making a point, but in reality, he's saying the same thing over and over. And then trust me, I know that. I get that. I'm used to that. I do it myself sometimes with these AEW fucking takedown videos or reviews in general. So I know what rambling looks like, right? I'm doing it right now, as a matter of fact. But at least I'm making a point, because that's my point about Jon Moxley, is that he doesn't make a fucking point. Like, I don't mind the ramblings, right? Triple H used to ramble a lot on his promos. People used to have a problem with that. But typically for me, at least it had a point, right? At least there was a goal. At least there was a structure behind it. You know that what Triple H is talking about is going to play into a story later on that night. With Jon Moxley, they sometimes don't even give the guys enough segments to even make good on whatever they're talking about at that moment, let alone the previous month building into the pay-per-view, right? But he just rambles and he talks. And he's taking influences from many, many things that no one even knows anything of what the fuck he's discussing or talking about, which one may say to themselves might be a good thing because it makes you look original. But I mean, what good is the originality when the originality that you're trying to copy is completely boring, and, you know, you're not really making good of that usage in regards to that content that you're trying to siphon off of to influence your current character or story at that moment. So I asked myself, what is the point of a Jon Moxley, right? Because you're going to see this throughout the video, what I'm emphasizing. The things that he's good at, everybody is good at. The thing that he needs to differentiate himself from the rest of the people, he sucks at. He kind of had it to a certain degree in WWE, but they were smart enough to minimize the cringe. They were smart enough to minimize all the ramblings and extra bullshit. And obviously they were smart enough to minimize all the stupid hardcore shit that he wanted to do that pretty much took away from everybody else and from angles that could be used in order to promote a future angle going into another story for stars who were actually bigger than him at the time, or even for his own good, maybe even him himself, right? Save him from himself. I don't see what Jon Moxley brings to the table that would constitute for him to be paid so much money. I mean, look at this current angle right now with the Dick Riders. We talked about this last night, but I mean, my guy, buddy, pal, Jim. You don't have enough segments on television on one given night to get over what the fuck you want to get over. And you think that you talking and doing the most basic minimalistic things in regards to an angle is supposed to help you get over with more? No sirree, Bob. Maybe to the rest of the jobbers in the audience who don't know good wrestling, they were sitting directly in front of Undertaker and Shawn Michaels. But to a person who's been watching wrestling for nearly 30 years, oh, I've seen it all, okay? I've seen it all. If not all, let's say I've seen a lot more than the people who are currently at this moment encouraging your stupid fucking antics. But then we move on, right? We move on. We'll say the best for last, okay? But we move on to a guy like Ricochet. A guy who thought to himself, golly gee willikers, WWE, they're holding me back. Gosh, if only they let me go do my thing. Gosh, just let me go out there and just let me rip ass. Gosh, what did he bring to what the fuck? What he offers in AEW? What the fuck did he offer in WWE? There's a reason why he wasn't used so super prominently, and when he was actually used somewhat prominently, it was used to get another person over, because in reality, that's all he's good for, right? He's good to be the stunt double, but he's not good enough to be the main actor. That's Ricochet. You know, he actually put out something. Someone told me this in the comment section, that he put out, I don't know, maybe a tweet or a comment, or he said something along the lines that they can carry AEW. You know what the sad part about it is? You probably can carry AEW. You probably can, okay? You absolutely can. You know what I can carry also? I can carry my son on my shoulders. Yeah. My son, my 1.5-year-old son, who's probably every bit of maybe, I don't know, at this point, 20 pounds, give or take. Yeah, that little guy. You know, the one who's probably up to my knee, if that, the one who just started walking. Yeah, that one. I can put him on my shoulders and I can carry him around. I guess now that means I can go pick up the Big Show and put him on my shoulders also. No, Ricochet. You're not built for this, homie. You're built for the indies. And good for you. You're in AEW. You're built exactly for that company. But there's a reason why you fucking sucked in WWE and why you continue to suck in AEW. And no matter what environment you end up going into, it's going to be the exact same result. You're going to suck because you don't have the tools to succeed. I'm sorry. I'm just speaking the truth. Maybe if you go out of your way, cut a promo or two, talk to your homeboy Tony, he can get you a manager. Maybe you can kind of cut down on the indie bullshit and kind of use the offense as a way to carry over you in the defense, so it means a hell of a lot more. Maybe you put the spectacles on the pay-per-views and you keep them in intervals, and you focus more on the actual charisma, the charismatic position. All these things I know he's heard 1,000,001 times, that apparently, guys, if you don't appreciate Ricochet's work, he wants you to suck his dick. Suck his dick. I heard the world's smallest black guy dick. This guy over here, okay, Mr. Andrew Tate, with all the fucking baldness and all the fucking pubes on his face, but none of the charisma. All right, let's go to the next person. Who else do I want to bury real quick? All right, who was the most recent signing from WWE that matters? Bryan Danielson. Let's talk about him. I love Bryan Danielson. Technical wizard. Oh my God, he's so awesome. Oh my God, yes. Oh my God. He's one of the few who has actually purposely downgraded himself from where he was with WWE. So it's kind of hard to take apart of Bryan Danielson. But what I will notate is the fact that just like CM Punk, who I'm pretty sure he had to learn that the hard way before going back to WWE, you're only as good as the machine makes you out to be. Now, Bryan Danielson, he's different compared to everybody else. He actually has the talent. He actually has done pretty much the same thing in WWE compared to what he's been doing in AEW from a character perspective, right? Especially as a babyface. One may even argue in AEW a little bit better because he has a little bit more room to navigate through the waters when it comes to the actual in-ring prospect, right? But at the same time, it does take away from the notion of how much of a draw he actually is, which, not really that big of a draw necessarily. That's not me saying it. That's me saying that Daniel Bryan outdraws Bryan Danielson 2-1. Damns the breaks, right? Let's go to another person, right? Because I kind of felt that was a little bit, too short, but at the same time, it got the point across. Let's talk about Edge, bro. What about Edge? Adam Copeland, bro. He's another one. But he's a little bit worse, in my opinion, why I give him a little bit more shit, because you're supposed to be a Hall of Famer. You're supposed to be a legend, right? You're supposed to be one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, which you absolutely are. What have you brought to the table, Edge? You left WWE, you came to AEW, you were one of the few who didn't shit talk WWE. Instead, you just, for some reason spewed a lot of shit about AEW, which I get it. Team player, you're going to do what you're going to do. But what has that done for you, Edge? Name value wise, sunk down the toilet. No one knows who the fuck Adam Copeland are. We know who Edge is. Who the fuck is Adam Copeland, bruh? Where are you right now? Or are you laid up in a bed right now with a broken leg because you wanted to keep up with the kids there? You want to be the cool kids, right? Hello, fellow children. I am one of you. I can also flip. Yeah, granted, the last time I took a flip, I probably blew up my Achilles, but don't worry, fellas. I can flip just like you. You want me to do a suicide dive? Okay, I'm going to jump out of the ring and I'm going to kill myself in the process. That's what I mean by suicide. No, Edge, you're not that guy anymore, bro. I mean, in reality, you could be that guy. You could work like a Shawn Michaels circa 2009 because, that's what your age shouldn't tell you to be. I mean, that should be your maturity level, but instead, you would rather have matches with Aleister Black, who's also getting pretty old at this point, with weapons and garbage and stupid shit. You would much rather co-sign on your feud with Christian, which could have easily been this generation's Triple H and Shawn Michaels for AEW, downscaled if you play the cards right. Instead, you have a bunch of garbage matches, a garbage build that you hardly ever hit on, and then you have a blow-off match on a regular show right around the corner from a pay-per-view. Gotcha, buddy. There's a reason why you didn't have a lot of input into the character process in regards to your character when you were in WWE. Now, granted, I know you were in creative for a little bit along with Bryan Danielson when you guys were creative consultants for the most part. But there's a reason why Edge in particular, you yourself never really had a gig in regards to being creative. Because leave the creative up to you, and you have 6-month blow-off matches on regular shows right around the corner from pay-per-views. But that's okay because, goddammit, you got Metalingus as a theme song, right? Okay, buddy. Let's continue on for a second. Anybody else? There's so many people who are minuscule that I don't want to really discuss. Malachi Black, Paige. I mean, Leo Rush, who? Right? Like, there's so many people from WWE. Ember Moon, still in ROH, am I right? Huh? Who else? Jeff Hardy, he's now in TNA. Matt Hardy, he's also now in TNA. Those guys are pretty much glorified journeymen at the moment. How about, let's see, who else? So many superstars who have been taken from WWE and AEW become complete jobbers. Miro, where's Miro right now? He doesn't even know where he's at right now, but he's been kidnapped by the fucking Abyss. Oh boy, I'm trying to think right now. Who else? Jericho and Swagger, technically they started with AEW, so I don't want to say them. That wouldn't be right. But then again, I did talk about Jon Moxley. Jack Swagger's a jobber, always has been a jobber, never going to be nothing more than a fucking jobber. I agree with him politically, don't agree with him from a wrestling standpoint, so there's nothing more to talk about. He's always a loser, forever going to be a loser, and he's always going to forever be a loser. Did I make my point clear? Chris Jericho. Only right to talk about you, buddy. We talked about Jon Moxley, only fair to talk about you. Jericho. Drink it in, man. The most unbearable person currently going on in AEW, arguably, right? Jericho, you were the bees and knees when you first started off in AEW. By far, still to this day, in my opinion, the greatest AEW World Champion to have ever existed. What happened after you lost the AEW World Champion, Jericho? Oh, that's right. You started another group to stay relevant, right? I mean, Buddy went directly into his stable. He needed all the tools around him in order to make himself stay somewhat relevant, stay somewhat capable. Okay, good golly, Miss Smalley. But Jericho, what happened afterwards when you dropped the belt? I still haven't gotten an answer to that. Oh, you brought down MJF. Okay, that's pretty cool. You fucked up his career for a little bit. That's fine. Shit happens. Okay. You go a little bit forward. All right. You derail Ricky Starks a little tiny bit. That's cool too. That's fine. Okay, that's fine. You fuck up Hangman Adam Page for a little bit also, right? Or was it Adam Cole? I can't remember. They both suck thanks to you, so it's kind of hard to keep track of that. Man, there's so many people who you fucked over, bro. I can't keep track. Every other week it's a new stable. Every other week it's a new gimmick. You're trying to reinvent yourself. You're like the new Madonna. I mean that physically and mentally. And it's like, man, my hero, my favorite wrestler of all time, the reason why I'm even talking to you guys right now, was used sparingly in WWE for a reason. He was used sparingly in WWE for a reason. I think that's all I got to say about that, right? But we saved the best for last, okay? We're not going to talk about Punk and Cody because they're both in WWE right now, so that's irrelevant because talking about them is pretty much moot because they're both two of the biggest wrestlers in the world, and they kind of recognize that going back to WWE. Let's talk about Mercedes Moné. I've been shitting on her for a while now. It's fun to shit on Mercedes Moné, okay? Because she gives you all the fucking amplitude. She gives you everything, bro. This girl, man, she's going to be the death of me, bro. Like, she's like scented pellets to a rat. You know what I mean? Like, she gets you to come out and eat the poison, bro. But good golly, Miss Molly, does she make it so appetizing, right? Mercedes Moné, the easiest person to go after. So many videos I made on this channel elaborating on that. So where do we begin, huh? Do we begin on the fact that she was once a pretty damn good wrestler when we look at her work in NXT to now being one of the most botchiest, lamest, most contrived wrestlers currently in the moment when it comes to spots, when it comes to actually doing the moves. 90% of her fucking moveset is a Meteora. Do we talk about that? Or do we talk about the cringiness in regards to her actual fucking appearance as a superstar? You see, when she was the boss, one may make an argument that, yeah, she kind of seemed like she was very full of herself, and she takes that and she turns it up to 10 because she really thinks she's one of the greatest of all time. She's not. But at the very least, though, you know, there was a certain type of, I don't know, molding. You know what I mean? There's something that you can do with that where it doesn't just completely overemphasize on the turning up to 11, and then you start to kind of put the character with the real life person, and then you kind of get, you know, this caricature of a person you don't like. Do we talk about that, or we talk about the fact that when she goes to AEW, she completely takes off all that imagery and all that facade, you know, like a homegirl who just got out of the shower and she had makeup on her face. She took off all that, and then she exposed herself for being a cocky, egotistical, pain in the ass, I don't know, man. There's just a very, 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 very arrogant person for nothing that you have done to even remotely take all that to make it mean something. I get it. She's turned heel, but you would have thought that would have actually made it work. But in reality, it just made her even more obnoxious. And I'm not talking about like obnoxious in the MJF way. I'm talking about obnoxious in an X-Pac get the fuck off my TV in 1999 type of way. Get that X-Pac heat, bruh. You doing good right now, bruh. You overstepped your boundaries a little bit too much in AEW when we were tolerating you in WWE. Or do we talk about the asset that for some people, they kept putting that on the pedestal because maybe they just took charisma and they somehow kind of tied it up to mean knowing how to talk on the microphone? People do that, believe it or not. They like to take the charismatic position to think that somehow correlates with knowing how to talk. That's not always the case, and I think she's the best case study to make that a point, right? Mercedes Moné, you tell me, give me one of her most memorable promos in AEW. For that matter, in WWE also, but at least with WWE, you cut it really, really small. You made sure she was on an angle, so there were points that she can actually make because she's focusing on an angle in itself. She's in AEW. She has the creative direction. She doesn't necessarily have an angle necessarily, just a woman who doesn't like her, and well, we're going to have a match at the pay-per-view, and we're going to get this over with, and then we'll go to the next challenger. Not really much of an angle, if you ask me, but I guess nowadays people say stories, and I guess technically a story is a story. It's just your story, and the way you look at a story is completely different than how I look at a story, but I digress. Sasha Banks, what has she done memorable in that company from a promo standpoint? That's my bad. Scratch the promo stuff. What has she done memorable in that company in general? Is she a huge draw? 640,000 tonight sounds like a huge draw to me. Sexual appeal? I guess maybe if you're like, obsessed with 12-year-old bodies. I mean, who am I, right? I mean, you give me something. I need something to sink my teeth into. It seems as if everything that she thought she was good at in WWE, she went to AEW and boom, the explosion, right? Kind of like the AJ guy. Boom, 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 boom. It's me and his current second wife, by the way. I'm just saying, can you give me something to sink my teeth into so I can kind of have a hook to, I don't know, attach myself to when you reel me in rather than just throwing something inside my asshole and pulling me in through that way? I'd rather have something hooking my mouth. You know what I'm trying to say? Give me something to hook my mouth for Sasha Banks. Let's take all of those appearances in general in AEW. Give me something to fucking sink my teeth into for these superstars who were once in WWE and pretty fucking over, some of them legendary over, to now be in AEW. And well, I mean, good golly Miss Wally, right? But who does this blame go on, right? I think that's the biggest question, right? So all these talents, probably, in my opinion, I got to think, right? All these people that I talked about, gonna assume we're talking about upwards 50 million plus, by far, gotta say, right? They probably make up half of the entire AEW $109 million budget that was apparently proclaimed, right? That have been spent on. Those guys probably make up like, I don't know, like, let's say 1/4 of that entire fucking budget by themselves. Maybe a little bit more. What was deserved by it? What did they do to get it? They completely overexposed themselves once they got out of WWE and then they went to AEW. And, well, I mean, we see it for what it is. You see, I look at this and I say to myself, damn, it sucks. Because on one hand, you got these WWE talents who are clearly playing this guy for a fucking mark, who think that their shit doesn't smell. And it's like, damn, I want to say in any other given circumstance to maybe get rid of all these trash people and, all this money could be exposed. You could give it to talent who actually know what they're doing. But it's 2024 professional wrestling. And sadly, everybody's a fucking mark nowadays, right? Either you lack the size, the believability, the gimmick to at least make up for all that. Some, not all. Actually, the majority, not all. But then you have a bunch of dweebs on the indie circuit who look just like them. I mean, it's kind of like you got no choice but to rely on these ex-WWE talents, because otherwise, I mean, who the fuck are you going to rely on? Orange Cassidy? You act like he's going to be the main event of a pay-per-view show for the World Championship. What can you say, buddy? This is what happens when you book your matches on universe mode and you somehow think that they somehow translate to real life. But let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Who are some talents that I didn't rip an asshole of that you would like for me to rip an asshole of next time? Because there's not going to be a next time. Probably, it depends how I feel. I had to get this off my chest though, because I see all these talents in AEW and I say to myself, God damn, bro, you're getting paid more than my life. And it's like, you're not doing anything with it. Can I talk shit about you first? I want to talk shit. I'm gonna talk shit about. I'm just gonna railroad you. Okay, I'm gonna spread your ass cheeks. I'm gonna go goatee right inside your asshole. So we're gonna put my asshole right inside your asshole. Okay? I'm gonna fucking diarrhea right inside your asshole. Okay, because otherwise, I mean, just let you keep doing what you're doing right now, and no one's gonna call you out on it. You know me when it comes to AEW, I got to take advantage of that one now, don't I? But let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below in regards to what talent you probably thought that I missed, and I'm going to pretend that I'm going to read your comment and listen to and, you know, be mad that I forgot that obvious superstar. Still rambling right now. It's like John Moxley. A deuces and a P eyes.